8 acts sang in Andra Chansen in Linköping, but only 4 have lived to sing another day, and Loreen is not one of them. Let's talk about it. You guys, we have to do this out of order. Let's start with the last heat, Loreen versus Anton Hagman. I know the two of you were not actually surprised. Angus.
Yeah, Loreen sadly has been slayed by Shawn Mendes impersonator and teen star Anton Hagman. To me, it was really predictable because the way the app vote works means the teen fangirls go for it, and also you have to kind of have a great performance throughout. You can't just have a really good final act, which basically statements the whole song builds up to the final bit. So for her, really, it didn't play to the way the contest has changed. And also, I just think it was the wrong kind of song for her to have come back with. I just don't think it worked. And also, ultimately, I think Anton's performance was a little bit better on the night because Loreen's, it was still messy. It still wasn't that polished. And overall, I think Statements was just confusing. Whereas Anton, you kind of get it. It's like, he's got a guitar. It's a fun poppy song you dance along to. He has this cute little face in the background. Like, that's easy. You understand it. You're a teenage girl. You tap your phone. And you get it. Loreen, it's like, there's loads of different statements which she doesn't really articulate or explain, and there's no killer pop hook, which is what made her previous tracks so good. So it's sad to see her go, and kind of personally for her, probably really upsetting. Like, you saw in the reaction, she was actually like, like not Molly Petterson Hammer style, like outraged, but more like, oh god, I never realized this could actually happen.
Yeah, I'm not that surprised either, because we saw it before in the semifinal that Loreen, their heart wasn't going that well. And also, like I said before, she is not that popular in Sweden anymore. All her singles after Euphoria, they didn't do well in the charts or anything like that. So I wasn't surprised that Swedish people aren't liking Loreen that much anymore. Why Anton won? Maybe it was because of the teenage girls. But like I said before, I love that song, and I think that song is much better than Statements. That is really typical pop song, but it works, and I think people understood it better. Of course, now it's really bad time for Loreen because she really needs to see if she wants to do the same way or the same kind of music she did with Statements, or go back to Euphoria style music, or just keep doing on her own thing. But yeah, I can see why fans are upset because Loreen was a big name, but this is what Sweden voted, and it's their fault that they don't do well in Eurovision if they don't do well, and we shouldn't be that upset over Loreen.
Yeah, I think Melodifestivalen is all about pop stars, and Loreen sees herself as an artist with a capital A, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this was very much an art house performance. This was not a performance for a pop music competition. I preferred it. I wanted to see it go through. I think that it would have been risky and interesting to put this at Eurovision, and it would have made a statement as she wanted to. But people on Twitter tweeting it have said it's too political. Music and politics don't go together. Some people are saying they still don't get it, or they're not interested in getting it. So although I was definitely a fanboy here, the contest has changed, and there are a lot of young teenagers voting on the app. And if you want to win this competition, you've got to play to that. And I think Anton Hagman did a better job at that. He's very adorable. Some people have said his voice is horrible. If you listen to the mic-only rendition, it's not the most amazing thing. But he's got charisma, and ultimately this is to find a pop star. And you know what? If he's riding a wave of momentum and popularity, more power to him. He did it. I just want to pinch his cheeks. In any case, I'm sad, but I'm not going to let that hold me down. And we're going to move on to the next duel, the first duel between FO&O and Davedu. The bookies had FO&O winning, and they did. They ditched their spaceship. They showed more of their face. Angus.
I thought this improved so much in a week. Considering Loreen, there wasn't a big jump. FO&O, it was like a revelation to me, because the first time I saw it, I was like, this is very Westlife filler album track from 2008. Like, they're young guys. It should be dynamite. And also, they were like third favorite with the bookies before the competition started. There was a lot of hype around them, and then the lyrics were a bit cheesy. The performance wasn't great, and they stole Eric Sarder's Flying Saucer, and we all know who's kind of the Chanel in that scenario. And yeah, I thought it did really well. I really wanted this to go through watching that performance. And, yeah, I really enjoyed it and thought it was quite good, actually. I kind of see why they have that talent. And also, it's boy band pop and they do it well, ultimately. So, yeah, deserved winner of the duel, I think.
Oh, should I scream or should I shout? I really wanted Devedu to go to the final. I think they were good today. They weren't great, but they were better than FO&O for sure. And I think that song is also better. I think FO&O, where it's typical boy band, but it's not even good typical boy band. And I think Devedu, the song would have been something different to the final. Like I said in the previous video, I think the final doesn't have anything fun now. And I can see why FO&O made it, because of course they have bigger fan base, and I think the performance, it was better now than it was in the semifinal. But I'm sad for Devedu, but I believe that Devedu still got more fans now than they did before, and FO&O, they are not winning the final, so I'm happy that they won't do that, and so I don't have to see them anymore since this one's next week. But yeah, I'm still sad for Devedu because it was one of my favorites tonight.
FO&O, JTR last place. I don't like it. Listen, their performance felt empty to me. Like, it just felt, compared to Devedu, it felt boring. It felt like they didn't have as much going on. It was just the three of them dancing occasionally, flashing their rings and be grabbing their crotch. Whereas Devedu had fast camera angles and a car and a DJ with no shirt and a DJ with no shirt. And I was really into that. And I enjoyed watching it, and I'm really upset. But I guess as a radio entry, FO&O makes more sense, because Devedu's song really is horrible, let's face it, but it's more entertaining, and that's why I want to just go through, because I think this final needs some lift. But that's how the cookie crumbles. We move on to duel number 2. This was Lisa Ajax versus Axel Schylström. And I've got to say, I really wanted Axel to go through, partly because of his backstory, but also because I think he grew as a performer. I like that they ditched the white jacket. They gave him a little metrosexual pink, some 3/4 length ankle exposing pants. He was working it. He's not a natural dancer, but he was moving. This was his best performance of the ones that we've seen, and I was really pleased for him. Lisa's great. She's fantastic. I can see why she won, but sentimentally, I wanted Axel to win. Angus.
I was so pleased Lisa won. I have to be really honest here. It's funny because I actually disagree with you. I didn't think his performance this week was as good as last week. Something about last week was immediate and cool, and it had this kind of quality that Danny Saucedo's new music has, of kind of being quite Swedish network cool. Tonight, I just felt it sounded very dated, Axel's song, very kind of old school Schlager, and I really didn't like it. And also, I felt like he didn't look as comfortable in the performance. I don't know if they've kind of added too much into it, but it wasn't good. Whereas Lisa, I actually think they've really lifted that from where the song, people said it was too monotonous. The performance felt a little bit egotistical because it is essentially just her face in the background. And so they added more playful touches. I think there were a few shots where she winks at the camera. They were much more close-ups. And it's kind of like Sugar Spice and Everything Nice, and then a little bit of Chemical X thrown in for added measure with the F-bombs. And I'm just really pleased she's at the final because I love that song. I think it's improved for me a lot from the first listen. And yeah, ultimately, I loved her last year. I've loved all her previous stuff, so there was no way I was not going to be pleased with this result.
I think this one was the closest from the 4 duels. I liked Axel much more. I think Lisa's song is really, it doesn't do anything for me, and I think it's nice to listen to, but that's it. And I think Axel's song makes me dance more, and I really loved Axel's story. I liked the performance. I think, just like William said, I think it was better this week. But the song, it's a little dated. So I can see why Lisa's more modern pop song made it instead of Axel. But it's also funny to see Lisa and Anton, they have really similar performances, with both of them having their own faces in the background and both of them alone on the stage, and they've both made it. So is this something we will see in the future? Also this performance, I don't really like this kind of performance. I think it's really stupid to put your own face in the background and just focus on the artist's looks. I think that having the artist sing the song is much more important than him or her posing with the camera. But I wasn't surprised that Lisa made it. I think she has more fans, and everyone knew her from last year. But again, I wanted Axel more. But I'm not that upset that I was with David too. I think Lisa is a good addition to the lineup on final, and I don't think she will win, but it's good to see her back in the final.
If I had her face, I'd put it on the LED, I'd put it on my fridge, I'd put it everywhere. She is real cute. Now, we move on to the last duel number 3, and this was Boris René beating Dismissed. I really wanted Dismissed to go through. I think that we've not seen at Melfest a pop rock band with this look. We've seen lots of pop rock bands. They usually sound the same, hello State of Drama, but this had a visual element to it, which I thought was great. It avoided the cliche of red lights, drummer on a platform. You know, they made this a runway and they were working it. Some of them, I'm not sure what they do. I did see them pick up instruments. I'm not yet convinced they actually play them. And they did sing at some point, but it doesn't matter. I love what they've done. I really want to see more music from them. I think that this will be the song I play, well, it'll be among the songs I play the most after Melfest. Boris René, he's good. It just sounds really old school to me. I don't identify with that genre. Not feeling it, but he's very charismatic. Angus.
I really have to disagree. Like Dismissed, I never really understood the hype because to me, Hearts Align is just like the generic rock song that's in every year's Melodifestivalen. Like you take Eclipse by Runaways last year, 2015. Oh god, I even forget the name of the band from that year. But there's all the same kind of stadium generic like Thomas Jason rock song type thing, and that's all it is. It's kind of like lipstick on a pig. The song is terrible. You put a runway show and some voguing and some collars on it, and I think people went a bit crazy for that. Yeah, you serve a little bit of face, but ultimately that was never going to do better than Boris, because I think Her Kiss is really good fun. It steals a lot of elements from kind of Prince's music, which I think is kind of like Kiss. It's got that whole kind of old school disco, and ultimately, like, he's fun and I think more accessible than Dismissed. I think maybe they were a little bit too edgy, and also this song didn't feel like the right fit for them. Like, I think they need some kind of RuPaul style, like disco, sassy, voguing thing, like The Rock. I don't know. It just did not sit. And I mean, like, they didn't write the song, they got given it, so maybe that's why it didn't feel that authentic to me. But I had no doubt in my mind Boris was going to crush them. And yeah, I suspect when the results come out, he will have crushed them in voting.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise that Boris won over Dismissed. I liked Dismissed in the semi-final, but now it was a little boring because we already saw it and it wasn't anything new. Of course, it was new to the competition, but not new to our eyes. Boris, it's okay. It's not better than Put Your Love on Me, and I think it's really similar. Like, I don't know why this is his style of music, but still he should do something different than doing the same song again. I think he's looking great on stage, and I think that's why people voted for him more than Dismissed, because Dismissed, even they were different, they were a little edgy, and they weren't really Swedish, they were more international, I think. And Boris, people knew him again from last year, and I think this kind of music is something that Swedish people really listen to. But yeah, I'm happy with this result because Dismissed weren't that good tonight as Boris René was, and I was really enjoying Boris, and because we didn't get Axel, we got Boris, and they were quite similar songs, so I'm happy that we at least have this kind of song in the final.
Final question. Let's please go around and say who we want to win and who we think will win now that the final is set. Angus, you are first.
So I'm torn because my head says Victoria, she absolutely says that I'm great, but my heart and my body say Robin Bengtsson because I find that performance very sexy and very cool. So it's hard to say who I want, but who I think ultimately Victoria should walk this now, because I think the only real competition left was Loreen had she have advanced. So I think really it is hers to lose at this point. It will take something quite drastic for her to be knocked out. Like, I think she's got quite a good slot in the running order. She's on, is it like 10th place? Like, she's quite late on. So yeah, As I Lay Me Down, I think is by far like the best of this year's bunch.
I actually have many favorites in this year's final. I think this is one of the strongest, or at least the most even final. I don't have one big favorite, but I think Robin Bengtsson is the one I want to see winning. I think his performance is just, I love it. The more I watch it, the more I find some little things from it. And also, I like Victoria, I like Mariette, I like Ace Wilder, so there are many favorites. But I can see Victoria winning it, but also John Henrik Fjällgren is one of the acts that really, I think Swedish people are liking it more than they liked it in 2015. And I see in some polls, like on the city side, he's doing really, really well. So I think it's international juries are the ones that really decide the winner, because I think the televote result will be really close. So I think it's Victoria or Jon Henrik who will win, but my favorite is Robin Bengtsson, and I really want to see that performance in Eurovision, and I want to see how Europe reacts to it, because that kind of music is really Swedish, but I don't know if international or European people like that kind of music. But yeah, I think Victoria will win it.
Face, 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 I love me some Ace, Miss Ace Wilder. This song is still in my head. Wild Child is so sweet, so endearing, so icona pop. I could listen to this over and over on loop. I just love Ace Wilder. So she is my co-favorite with Miss Victoria, honey. Victoria has really grown on me. The snippet I wasn't feeling, but now when I have the full 3-minute version with the staging, it's the clear winner. I think this is gonna walk it. I think this year she's more likable in a way. They've softened her up. Last year she had to stand in place and be powerful, powerful, powerful. Whereas this year she has a quiet power. There's some amazing harmonies. It's very pure Dolly Parton old school country. Not the trashy kind, that really soulful kind. Grand Old Opry, Saleh Queen. I don't see anyone beating her. I think Nano, had a blip, had a moment, but I don't see him beating her. I think the international juries will love her voice. The LED bed is a little bit of innovation in a way. It looks quite cool. Initially, I was like, what is this bed? What is she going to be doing? But now she really works it. It's no competition, and I'm excited because last year she was my favorite, and I'm glad to see her taking the cake this year. I say as if she's already done it. I have a good feeling she will, but I do think Jon Henrik could surprise. The bookies are really getting behind this one. He jumped from mid-table to number 3, I think, and I wasn't expecting that because the song does nothing for me this year, and I loved him in 2015. In any case, that is what we think. What do you think? Who is your favorite to win Melodifestivalen now that the final is set? And what do you make of Loreen's exit? Was Anton the right act to go through? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to subscribe to all our videos on our channel down below.
And also like this video.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.